If the only thing standing between you and the life you dream of is the way you focus your energy, think about that for a moment. Every single day, your mind is pulled in 1,000 different directions. Notifications, opinions, endless comparisons, people telling you what you should do, how you should live, what you should want. And in all that noise, the most important voice, the one inside you, gets drowned out. That's why so many people feel stuck, tired, and unfulfilled. They are living for everyone else but themselves. But what if, starting today, you chose a different path? What if you decided that your time, your energy, your focus belong to you first? How different would your life look? Most people never give themselves that gift. They sacrifice their dreams just to fit in, to keep others happy, or to avoid judgment. And slowly, piece by piece, they forget who they are. But you are not here to live small. You are not here to simply survive while your potential withers away. Deep down, you know you're capable of more. You feel it in the quiet moments when nobody's watching. That inner pull, that whisper reminding you that life could be richer, bolder, more meaningful if only you dared to claim it. That whisper is not an accident. It's your inner compass. And the moment you decide to focus on yourself, you align with it. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Because when you stop pouring all of your energy into pleasing others, you free that power to build yourself. And when you build yourself, you become stronger, more grounded, more capable of giving from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and yet so many people try. That's why they break. But you don't have to break. You can rise, and it begins the moment you shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, what do you truly want? Not what your parents want, not what your friends expect, not what society glorifies. What do you, in the deepest part of your soul, crave? Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's help. Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's a dream that terrifies you but won't leave you alone. Whatever it is, it's yours. And the only way to claim it is to stop scattering your attention and start directing it fully toward becoming the person who can live that vision. This is why you need to stay here, to keep listening, to allow every word to remind you of your power. Because this is not just about motivation, it's about transformation. Each moment you choose to focus on yourself, you create a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. Your confidence grows, your clarity sharpens, your actions become bolder, and slowly, the life you once thought was impossible begins to take shape before your eyes. That is the reward waiting for you. A life where you no longer chase approval, but stand rooted in your own worth. A life where you stop surviving and finally start living. A life where you wake up excited, driven, and unshakably focused on the person you are becoming. And that journey starts right now. You have already carried the weight of doubt long enough. You know what it feels like to give your best energy to things that do not move you forward, to people who do not see your worth, to distractions that drain your spirit. And deep down, you also know this is not sustainable. You were not born to be scattered, restless, or half present in your own life. You were born to channel your strength, your attention, your courage into building something real. The moment you decide to stop running from yourself and finally stand still with your truth, everything begins to change. The first shift happens inside your mind. Most people believe their circumstances control them, but the truth is, your thoughts shape your reality long before your actions do. If your thoughts are cluttered with comparison, fear, or guilt, you will live small. If your thoughts are fueled by focus, determination, and self-respect, you will live strong. That is why choosing to focus on yourself is more than a decision. It is a declaration that you will no longer hand your power away. Every time you silence the noise and listen to your own inner voice, you take back control of your future. Think about the time you have already lost, pouring yourself into things that never filled you. Think about the energy wasted worrying about what others think. Think about the dreams you set aside because you were afraid to look selfish. That pain, that regret, it can end today. You do not need to keep repeating the same cycle. You have the power to draw a line and say, this is where it stops. This is where I reclaim my focus. And the moment you do, you shift from being a passenger in your life to being a driver. Focusing on yourself means valuing your time as sacred. It means realizing that every distraction you allow takes you one step further from the life you deserve. Time is the one resource you will never get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's why you must guard it with everything you have. Ask yourself honestly, where does your time go? Who gets the best of your energy? Are you spending your days building your dreams? Or are you trapped in cycles that keep you small? The truth might hurt, but it will also set you free because awareness is the first step toward change. And here is the reward that makes this worth it. When you begin to focus on yourself, clarity replaces confusion. You wake up with a sense of direction. You no longer feel lost because you know exactly what you are working toward. You stop living on autopilot and start moving with purpose. You feel stronger, calmer, and more in control, even when life challenges you. And most importantly, you begin to experience the deep satisfaction that comes from progress. Small steps compound into big victories. Every day you stay focused is a day you move closer to the life that was meant for you. This is why your focus is everything. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Because the longer you delay, the longer you rob yourself of the joy, freedom, and strength waiting for you. It is time to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. It is time to turn inward, to rise higher, and to prove to yourself that you are capable of becoming so much more than you ever imagined. The power is in your hands, and the world is waiting for the version of you that chooses to focus fully, without apology, without hesitation, without fear. When you begin to protect your energy, something incredible happens. You start to see who you really are without the weight of other people's expectations crushing you. For the first time, you hear your own thoughts clearly. You recognize the dreams you buried, the strength you ignored, the voice you silenced to keep the peace. That awareness can feel uncomfortable at first because it forces you to face the gap between who you are today and who you could be. But that discomfort is not your enemy. It is proof that you are waking up. It is proof that you are no longer willing to accept a life of half-lived potential. Your focus is a mirror. It reflects what you value most. If your focus is scattered, it shows that you have been taught to give yourself away too cheaply. But when you decide that your life is worth more, your focus begins to sharpen. And with that clarity comes power. The power to direct your actions toward what truly matters. Psychology shows us that where attention goes, energy flows. If you pour your attention into negativity, that is what multiplies. If you pour it into growth, resilience, and progress, those qualities expand inside you until they shape your reality. You already have this power within you. The only question is how you choose to use it. There will always be noise. There will always be people trying to distract you, discourage you, or drag you back into old patterns. But when you learn to center your focus on yourself, their noise loses its grip. You no longer measure your worth by their opinions. You stop chasing approval and start building confidence that comes from within. That shift is life-changing because once you stop living for their applause, you become unstoppable. You move not for validation, but for fulfillment. And fulfillment is what makes life worth living. Imagine the strength you will feel when your sense of worth no longer rises and falls based on someone else's approval. Imagine how free you will be when your choices are guided not by fear of judgment, but by a deep alignment with your values. That is the reward of focusing on yourself, freedom. The freedom to live boldly, to try, to fail, to rise again without shame. The freedom to create a life that reflects who you truly are, not who the world told you to be. That freedom is waiting for you, but it will only appear once you decide to take yourself seriously enough to fight for it. Every transformation begins with a single decision. A decision to stop shrinking. A decision to stop delaying. A decision to give yourself permission to step into your own light. You cannot control everything around you, but you can always control where you place your focus. And when you place it on growth, on discipline, on self-respect, you set into motion a chain of changes that nothing can stop. That is how you build momentum. That is how you rise from where you are to where you were meant to be. You already know what it feels like to stay the same. You already know the weight of living below your potential. So why continue? Why waste another moment living a life that does not honor the greatness within you? The choice is yours, and the power is already in your hands. Focus on yourself because your future deserves nothing less than your full attention, your full effort, your full belief. This is the path to freedom, to strength, to transformation. This is the moment you prove to yourself that you are ready to rise. The greatest breakthroughs happen when you stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself the authority to act. Too many people waste years hoping someone else will validate their dreams, hoping circumstances will align, hoping life will hand them the perfect moment. But life does not wait, and time will not slow down until you are ready. The truth is, No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to push you. And no one is coming to hand you the life you want. It's up to you to claim it. And the first step to claiming it is to recognize that you are worthy of more than hesitation, more than excuses, more than settling for less than what sets your soul on fire. When you focus on yourself, you stop being a passenger to chance and start becoming the architect of your own destiny. Every day becomes an opportunity to design the life you want, brick by brick, choice by choice. And while the work may be hard, there is no greater satisfaction than knowing you are building something that belongs to you. Psychology shows that ownership creates meaning. When you take ownership of your growth, your habits, and your actions, even the smallest progress fills you with pride because you know it is yours. That sense of ownership fuels resilience, and resilience fuels unstoppable progress. But you cannot build this life if you are constantly distracted by the noise of comparison. Comparing yourself to others will always make you feel like you are behind, like you are not enough, like someone else has already claimed the life you want. The truth is, comparison is a trap. You cannot win a race that was never yours to begin with. Your path is unique, your pace is your own, and your only true competition is the person you were yesterday. When you embrace this truth, you stop wasting energy looking sideways and start channeling all of it forward. That is how you accelerate your growth, by focusing on your own lane with complete intensity. This focus also strengthens your discipline. Motivation may spark the flame, but discipline keeps it alive. Discipline is built when you choose progress over comfort, when you do what you said you would do, even when no one is watching. And every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. You prove to yourself that you are capable, dependable, and worthy of trust. That is how inner strength is forged, not in loud declarations, but in the quiet consistency of daily choices that align with who you want to become. And with discipline comes transformation, not the kind that happens overnight, but the kind that lasts, the kind that shapes your identity, rewires your beliefs, and turns your vision into reality. When you focus inward and take deliberate steps each day, you create momentum that compounds. Progress may feel slow at first, but suddenly you look back and realize you are no longer the same person. You are stronger. You are sharper. You are becoming the version of yourself that once felt impossible. That is the power of self-focus, turning impossibility into inevitability. Do not underestimate how powerful this moment can be for you. Right here, right now, you have the chance to choose differently, to stop living distracted and start living intentional, to stop chasing what others expect and start chasing what fulfills you, to stop doubting your worth and start proving your potential. The choice is in your hands, and it's a choice you must make every day. Focus on yourself, not because the world tells you to, but because deep down you know that your future depends on it. And when you make that choice consistently, you will not just change your life, you will change yourself. The moment you realize that your future is built on your daily decisions, everything changes. Success is not a mystery, it is not luck, and it is not reserved for a chosen few. It is the result of small, deliberate actions repeated with consistency. Every choice you make is either moving you closer to your potential or further away from it. This is why focus matters so deeply, because without it, your energy is scattered, and scattered energy cannot build anything strong. But when your focus is sharp, every step becomes intentional, and those steps begin to carve out a path that leads directly to the life you desire. Human behavior is driven by patterns. Most people repeat the same thoughts, the same habits, and the same emotions day after day. They get trapped in cycles of procrastination, distraction, or self-doubt, and then wonder why their lives do not change. The truth is, you cannot create a new future with the same patterns that built your present. You must disrupt them. You must choose to step outside of autopilot and bring conscious focus to how you think, how you act, and how you spend your time. This level of self-awareness is uncomfortable, but it is the birthplace of transformation, because the moment you see your patterns clearly, you have the power to rewrite them. Focusing on yourself means becoming intentional about what you feed your mind and body. Your environment, your habits, your inner dialogue, they are all shaping you whether you notice or not. If you consume negativity, you will feel heavy. If you surround yourself with distractions, you will feel scattered. But if you choose carefully, if you nourish your mind with growth, discipline, and clarity, you begin to rise. This is not theory, it is science. Your brain rewires itself according to what you repeatedly do and think. That means every focused choice you make today is literally shaping the person you will become tomorrow. Do not underestimate the power of this. 1 hour of disciplined action beats a whole day of distraction. One moment of courage beats years of hesitation. One decision to stay focused on yourself can change the entire direction of your life. And when you stack those decisions, when you repeat them consistently, you build a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. Discipline becomes habit, habit becomes identity, and identity becomes destiny. That is the path of transformation, beginning with a single focused step and refusing to turn back. The reward for this level of focus is more than just external success. It is the peace of knowing you are living in alignment with your true self. It is the strength of waking up each morning with clarity instead of confusion. It is the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself and proving daily that you are capable of more than you thought. And that inner confidence radiates outward, shaping how you carry yourself, how you face challenges, and how you build relationships. You stop chasing validation because you no longer need it. You are already grounded in your own worth. This is the life you were meant to live, not a life dictated by distractions, not a life built on comparisons, but a life of clarity, strength, and purpose. And the only way to reach it is to focus on yourself with relentless intention. Every moment is a chance to choose. Every day is a chance to rise. Do not waste it. Do not delay. The future belongs to those who dare to focus, and your future is waiting for you to step into it now. True growth demands that you release the weight you were never meant to carry. You cannot step fully into your power if your mind is chained to past mistakes, regrets, or failures. Too many people let yesterday define them, replaying old moments like scars that never heal. But those moments do not have to hold you hostage. They were lessons, not life sentences. The moment you shift your focus away from what broke you and toward what can build you, you reclaim your freedom. You cannot drive forward by staring into the rearview mirror. You must fix your eyes on the road ahead, because that is where your future lives. Psychology teaches us that the brain responds more strongly to what you focus on than to what actually happens. That means if you dwell on pain, your mind relives it as though it is happening again. But if you focus on growth, resilience, and possibility, your brain adapts to those signals instead. You begin to feel stronger, calmer, more capable, even before the results appear. This is why focus is not just a habit, it is a weapon. It allows you to break cycles of negativity and create new patterns of strength. The more you train your attention on who you want to become, the more your mind and body align to make it real. Letting go of the past is not about forgetting. It is about refusing to let it control you. Every wound you have carried, every failure you have endured, every disappointment you have faced, they do not define your worth. They are proof that you survived, proof that you are still here, proof that you are stronger than you thought. And strength is built not in the absence of pain, but in the decision to rise above it. When you focus on yourself, you stop asking why things happen to you and start asking how you can grow from them. That single shift changes everything. It turns obstacles into stepping stones, and what once felt like defeat becomes the very foundation of your comeback. You are not meant to stay trapped in cycles of regret. You are meant to evolve. Growth requires space, and you create that space by releasing what no longer serves you. This is why focusing inward is so powerful, because it teaches you to distinguish between what builds you and what breaks you. When you commit to your own growth, you naturally begin to shed the habits, relationships, and thoughts that hold you down. And though that process may feel painful, it is also liberating, because every release creates room for something greater to enter your life. Focus becomes the filter through which you allow only what strengthens you to remain. And as you release the old, you open yourself to the new. You begin to see opportunities where before you only saw barriers. You begin to feel possibility where before you only felt limitation. You realize that the story of your life is still being written and you are the one holding the pen. That awareness is your power. That decision to focus is your freedom. And with every step you take, you are proving that you are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you choose to do now. This is the moment to choose freedom over fear, progress over regret, and focus over distraction. The past may have shaped you, but it does not own you. Your focus belongs to the future you are building. And nothing is stronger than a mind that refuses to look back. This is your time to rise, to reclaim, to rebuild, and to prove to yourself that your best days are not behind you. They are waiting for you right in front of you. When you choose to release what no longer serves you, you create space for something greater to take root, your true potential. It has always been there, hidden beneath layers of doubt, fear, and distraction. But potential is not enough on its own. Untapped potential is wasted power. To bring it alive, you must feed it with focus, discipline, and belief. You must decide every day that you are worthy of becoming the person you imagine in your mind, because that vision you carry is not random. It is a glimpse of what you are capable of, and it is waiting for you to step into it with courage. The greatest enemy of potential is comfort. Comfort convinces you to stay where you are, even when you know you were made for more. Comfort whispers that tomorrow will be easier, that change can wait, that growth is too difficult. But comfort is a trap. It lulls you into a life of quiet dissatisfaction, where years slip away and dreams fade into regret. The antidote is focus. When you fix your attention on growth, you interrupt the pull of comfort. You remind yourself that short-term discomfort is the price of long-term freedom. And with each choice to push forward instead of settle, you expand your capacity to achieve more. Psychology proves that growth thrives at the edge of challenge. When you stretch beyond what feels safe, your brain rewires itself, building resilience, creativity, and strength. That is why the discomfort you feel when focusing on yourself is not a sign to stop. It is a sign you are evolving. Every step outside your comfort zone is a step into the life you deserve. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. What once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable, because you are building a new identity rooted in courage and progress. This is how transformation takes shape. It is not about massive leaps that happen overnight. It is about consistent focus on small steps that build into something unstoppable. Each workout, each hour of deep work, each choice to say no to distractions is proof that you are investing in yourself. Those choices may seem small in the moment, but they compound. And over time, they redefine who you are. You no longer see yourself as someone who waits, doubts, or hesitates. You see yourself as someone who acts, grows, and wins. And when your identity shifts, your reality follows. The reward for this is not just achievement, though achievement will come. The reward is pride, the pride of knowing you refuse to settle, the pride of proving to yourself that you are stronger than excuses, stronger than distractions, stronger than the pull of your old life. That pride fuels momentum, and momentum builds unshakable confidence. With each focused choice, you begin to carry yourself differently. You no longer question if you are capable. You know you are. You no longer wonder if you deserve more. You claim it without hesitation. Your potential is not a distant dream. It is here within you, waiting for you to focus on it, nurture it, and bring it alive. But it will not wait forever. Every day you delay, you trade possibility for regret. And every day you act, you trade doubt for progress. The power is in your hands right now. Refuse to settle for comfort. Refuse to remain the same. Focus on yourself with relentless intensity and unlock the life that has been calling to you all along. This is the moment where potential becomes reality if you are brave enough to claim it. The moment you step into your potential, you realize that focus is more than just a tool. It is a shield. It protects you from the endless distractions, temptations, and doubts that try to pull you away from your path. The world is filled with noise, and that noise will never stop. There will always be opinions, comparisons, and obstacles demanding your attention. But when your focus is unshakable, you see through the noise. You know what matters and what doesn't. You stop scattering your energy across meaningless battles and instead pour it into the war that truly counts, the one between who you are and who you are meant to be. Every great transformation requires discipline, and discipline begins with clarity. You must be brutally honest about what you want and why you want it. Vague desires create vague results, but clear focus creates undeniable momentum. When you decide with certainty that you will not live below your potential, your mind and body begin to align with that vision. Neuroscience shows that the brain thrives on clarity. It filters information, prioritizes opportunities, and strengthens patterns that support the goal you have locked onto. This means that every time you focus with precision, you are programming your brain for success. You are teaching yourself to see solutions where others see problems, to notice opportunities where others see barriers. But clarity alone is not enough. You must also act. Too many people stay trapped in endless planning, waiting for the perfect moment. Perfection is an illusion. The only perfect moment is now. Each action you take, no matter how small, sends a message to your mind. I am serious about my growth. And the more you act, the louder that message becomes. Action creates evidence, and evidence builds belief. Suddenly, what once felt impossible begins to feel natural because you have proof that you can do it. This is how focus transforms not just your circumstances, but your identity. Identity is the foundation of lasting change. When you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, consistent, and strong, your actions naturally reflect that. But if you see yourself as someone who always gives up, your actions will match that belief too. This is why every focused choice matters. Every time you choose to honor your goals over your excuses, you reinforce the identity of someone who refuses to quit. That identity is unshakable, and once it takes root, nothing can pull you back into your old patterns. You become a person who doesn't just dream, you execute. You don't just want change, you create it. The reward for this level of focus is freedom. Freedom from the grip of distraction, freedom from the weight of doubt, freedom from the chains of a life that feels small and unfulfilled. That freedom is worth every ounce of effort you put in. Because once you taste it, you can never go back. You begin to see the truth that your life has always been in your hands, waiting for you to take ownership of it. And the more you focus on yourself, the more that truth becomes undeniable. This is the path of transformation. It is not easy, but it is worth everything. The world may try to pull you in 1,000 directions, but your focus keeps you grounded. It keeps you aligned with your vision. It keeps you moving forward step by step until the person you once imagined becomes the person you are living as every single day. That is the power of relentless focus. That is the strength you already hold within you. And now is the time to use it. Focus sharpens not only your actions, but also your inner strength. It teaches you to master the one thing that shapes every part of your life, your mind. Most people live as if their thoughts are random, as if they have no control over the stream of doubt, fear, and negativity that runs through their head. But the truth is, your thoughts are choices. You decide whether to feed the voices that weaken you or the ones that push you forward. And the more you direct your focus toward empowering thoughts, the more those thoughts become your default. That is how transformation begins from the inside out. The human brain is wired to seek what it repeatedly focuses on. If you focus on problems, you will find more problems. If you focus on possibilities, you will discover opportunities that were always there, waiting to be seen. This is not magic, it is psychology. The reticular activating system in your brain filters information based on what you consider important. That means every time you decide to focus on growth, progress, and self-respect, your brain gets to work finding more reasons to support that path. You begin to notice the doors you once overlooked. You begin to create momentum where before there was only stagnation. All because you took control of your focus. And with control comes peace. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you no longer wasted energy replaying failures, obsessing over opinions, or feeding insecurities. Imagine the calm of knowing that your mind is an ally, not an enemy. That peace is possible, but only when you choose to focus on building yourself rather than breaking yourself down. You cannot afford to let negative thoughts dictate your life because they will always lead you back to the same cycle of hesitation and regret. But when you decide to fuel your mind with belief, courage, and clarity, you step into a level of strength most people never reach. Strength is not built in comfort, it is built in resistance. In the moments you choose discipline over distraction, faith over fear, progress over excuses, and every time you choose strength, you rewire your identity. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who is trying, but as someone who is becoming. That identity shift is powerful because once you see yourself as strong, you act strong. Once you see yourself as focused, you act focused. The cycle feeds itself and momentum carries you forward. Momentum is the secret force behind lasting change. It is why small actions repeated with consistency create extraordinary results. Once you build it, it becomes easier to keep going than to stop. That is the reward of focus. It builds momentum that makes growth feel natural, almost inevitable. Suddenly, what once felt like a mountain becomes your new normal. And from that new level, you see even greater heights waiting to be climbed. This is the truth about your journey. You already have everything you need inside you. The discipline, the courage, the strength, they are waiting beneath the noise, waiting for you to choose them. Your focus is the key that unlocks them. And the moment you commit to directing it inward, you set yourself free from the chains of doubt and distraction. You prove to yourself that you are not powerless, you are not stuck, you are not defined by what held you back before. You are defined by what you choose to focus on now. And now is the moment to choose growth, to choose strength, to choose yourself fully and without hesitation. The more you strengthen your focus, the more you begin to realize that your environment matters just as much as your mindset. You cannot stay committed to growth if you surround yourself with people, habits, and spaces that drain your energy. Everything around you is either fueling your progress or feeding your distractions. This is why focusing on yourself also means curating your environment with intention. You must protect your space the same way you protect your mind, because the energy you allow into your life becomes the foundation on which your future is built. Your surroundings influence your behavior far more than you may realize. Studies in psychology prove that environment shapes decision-making, discipline, and even belief systems. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, it is only a matter of time before you absorb it. If you are surrounded by chaos, your mind struggles to stay calm. But when you design your environment to support your focus, everything shifts. You remove temptations that once derailed you. You add reminders of your vision that keep you moving forward. You surround yourself with influences that elevate you instead of holding you back. And over time, these changes make growth the path of least resistance. But this goes beyond the physical. Your relationships are part of your environment too. If you are always around people who settle for less, who complain instead of act, who discourage ambition instead of encourage it, their energy seeps into you. Whether you notice it or not, you start to mirror them. That is why focusing on yourself sometimes means letting go of connections that no longer align with who you are becoming. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop sacrificing your future to maintain bonds that keep you small, because your growth cannot flourish in soil that resists it. And as you refine your environment, you realize that solitude can be one of the most powerful allies you have. Time alone with your thoughts allows you to, reconnect with your vision, to hear your own voice clearly, to recharge your energy without interference. Solitude is not emptiness, it is empowerment. It teaches you that you are enough on your own, that your worth is not dependent on constant validation. And when you learn to enjoy your own presence, you carry yourself with a new kind of strength, one that no one can take away from you. This level of focus requires courage because it often means making choices that others will not understand. You may be judged for stepping away from old patterns, criticized for prioritizing your growth, or misunderstood for choosing discipline over distraction. But remember this, people will always have opinions, and their opinions do not define your truth. What defines you is the life you create through your choices. And if those choices lead to strength, freedom, and fulfillment, then they are worth every misunderstanding. The reward for protecting your environment and focusing on yourself is alignment. Your mind, your space, your relationships, your actions, they all begin to work together instead of against each other. That alignment gives you clarity, energy, and unstoppable momentum. You wake up knowing that everything around you is supporting the person you are becoming. You feel lighter, stronger, and more in control. And with every step forward, you prove to yourself that you are not just surviving your environment, you are mastering it. That mastery is freedom. That mastery is power. And it belongs to you the moment you decide to claim it. When your environment begins to align with your vision, the next challenge is learning to master your time. Time is the most valuable resource you will ever have, yet it is also the one most easily wasted. Every minute you spend unfocused is a minute you will never get back. That is why focus on yourself demands that you treat your time as sacred. You must become intentional about where it goes, because where your time goes, your life follows. If you allow distractions to steal your minutes, they will eventually steal your future. But when you claim those minutes for yourself, you build a life of purpose 1 hour at a time. The truth is, most people do not have a shortage of time. They have a shortage of clarity and discipline. They say they want change, but spend hours scrolling, complaining, or worrying about things they cannot control. They wonder why their life feels stagnant, yet they give away their most precious currency to activities that offer no return. If you want transformation, you must break this pattern. You must choose to invest your time like it matters, because it does. Time invested in growth multiplies. Time wasted on distractions disappears forever. That awareness should shake you, but it should also empower you, because it means you always have the power to change by changing how you spend your time. When you focus on yourself, you start to see time differently. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Each day becomes an opportunity to take steps toward your vision instead of drifting aimlessly. And even small actions, when done consistently, compound into massive results. A single hour of focused effort each day becomes hundreds of hours each year. Those hours can change your body, your skills, your mindset, your entire life. Progress does not require perfect conditions. It requires consistent investment of time and energy. That is the secret most people overlook. Success is not built in sudden bursts of motivation, but in daily deposits of discipline. But discipline with time is not only about productivity, it is also about presence. When you are fully focused on yourself, you stop splitting your attention between the past, the future, and the opinions of others. You anchor yourself in the now, the only moment where change can actually happen. Presence is power because it keeps your energy from being scattered across things you cannot control. It channels your strength into what you can do right here, right now. And when you live with presence, you experience both peace and progress at the same time. There will always be temptations to waste time, but each time you resist, you strengthen your willpower. Each time you choose growth over distraction, you prove to yourself that your vision matters more than temporary comfort. That proof builds momentum, and momentum transforms effort into identity. You stop seeing discipline as something you do and start seeing it as who you are. And when that shift happens, protecting your time no longer feels like a burden. It feels like an act of self-respect. The reward for this mastery is freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from the feeling that life is slipping through your fingers. Freedom to know that your days are being used to build something that matters. This freedom brings a deep sense of fulfillment because you know you are not wasting the limited time you have. You are investing it into a future that excites you. That is the power of focus applied to time. It transforms hours into progress, days into breakthroughs, and years into a life that reflects your true potential. And that life begins the moment you decide that your time is too valuable to waste on anything less than becoming your best self. When you begin to master your time, you unlock something even greater, the ability to direct your energy. Time without energy is empty. You can have all the hours in the world, but if your mind is clouded, your body is weak, and your spirit is drained, those hours produce nothing of value. Energy is the fuel that turns time into progress. And focusing on yourself means protecting and replenishing that fuel so you can move forward with strength, clarity, and consistency. Because without energy, even the smallest tasks feel impossible. But with energy, even the biggest challenges become opportunities to grow. Your energy is shaped by the choices you make each day. The food you eat, the sleep you allow, the exercise you commit to, the thoughts you entertain. All of these decisions either recharge or deplete you. Many people underestimate how much their physical and mental state determines their ability to focus. They try to force discipline through willpower alone, ignoring that a tired body and cluttered mind will always sabotage progress. The truth is, self-care is not a luxury. It is a requirement for transformation. When you fuel your body with what it needs and guard your mind from what weakens it, you create a foundation that makes focus easier, not harder. But energy is not only physical, it is emotional and spiritual as well. The conversations you have, the content you consume, the beliefs you hold, all of these carry energy. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, your spirit becomes heavy. If you feed your mind with doubt, your motivation withers. But when you immerse yourself in positivity, inspiration, and truth, you rise above the weight of fear and hesitation. Protecting your energy means being intentional about what you allow in, because what enters you eventually shapes what flows out of you. And what flows out of you is what creates your reality. You cannot control every situation, but you can control your response. Stress, setbacks, and challenges are unavoidable, but they do not have to drain you. When you reframe obstacles as opportunities to strengthen your resilience, you shift the energy they bring. Suddenly, what once drained you becomes fuel for growth. This mindset is powerful because it prevents life from breaking you down and instead uses every experience to build you up. Energy follows focus, and when your focus is on growth, your energy naturally aligns with it. The more you value your energy, the more you realize that saying no is one of the most powerful ways to say yes to yourself. No to distractions that waste your strength. No to people who drain your spirit. No to habits that leave you feeling empty. Each no becomes a yes to clarity, vitality, and freedom. You learn that protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary if you want to show up fully in your life. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot chase your future with a depleted soul. Guarding your energy is the ultimate act of commitment to your vision. The reward of mastering your energy is momentum. You wake up with vitality, move through your days with focus, and rest with peace. You begin to feel unstoppable, not because life is easier, but because you are stronger, sharper, and more aligned with your purpose. Every choice to fuel yourself, to protect yourself, to strengthen yourself becomes another step toward transformation. And with each step, you prove that you are not just surviving, you are thriving. That is the power of energy, and it is always within your control when you choose to focus on yourself and honor the life you are building. As your energy rises and your focus sharpens, you begin to understand that true growth requires you to confront the limits you once believed were unshakable. Every person carries invisible walls built from fear, doubt, and past experiences. These walls whisper that you are not capable, not ready, not enough. They convince you to stay where it feels safe, even if safe means unfulfilled. But those walls are illusions, and they crumble the moment you decide to push against them. Growth demands that you step beyond the comfort that has kept you stuck, because nothing changes until you face what scares you most. Fear is the strongest thief of potential. It disguises itself as caution, logic, or patience, but at its core, fear is resistance to change. It tells you stories of failure before you even begin. It magnifies the risk while hiding the reward. And yet, psychology proves that action is the fastest way to dissolve fear. The longer you wait, the stronger it grows. But the moment you move, fear loses its power. Each step forward proves to your mind that you are stronger than the voice trying to hold you back. This is why courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move despite it. When you focus on yourself, you stop letting fear write your story. You start replacing fear with faith. Faith in your ability to adapt, to learn, to endure, to overcome. That faith is built through experience, and experience only comes when you take the leap. Every risk, every challenge, every uncomfortable step becomes proof that you are capable of more than you imagine. And once you gather enough proof, your confidence grows. You no longer wait for permission to change. You no longer wait for the perfect moment. You act because you know that progress is created through motion, not hesitation. But courage is not just about big leaps. It is about small choices repeated consistently. The courage to wake up earlier, the courage to say no to temptations, the courage to prioritize your goals when distractions call. These choices may seem small, but together they build unshakable strength. Discipline is courage in action. It is the decision to choose what you want most over what you want now. And when you practice this daily, you become unstoppable. You train your mind to trust your actions, and that trust creates unbreakable confidence. The reward of breaking through fear and doubt is liberation. You begin to feel a freedom that cannot be given by anyone else and cannot be taken away by circumstances. It is the freedom of knowing you are in control of your path, that no obstacle is bigger than your will to rise. This liberation changes the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you live. You radiate strength because you have faced weakness and chosen to overcome it. You carry power because you have walked through fear and proven that it cannot define you. And with every fear you conquer, every limit you break, you step closer to the life you were meant to live. You realize that the walls you thought were permanent were only temporary challenges designed to reveal your strength. You realize that the life you want is not out of reach. It is waiting on the other side of your courage. And when you finally step through, you not only transform your life, you transform yourself. The moment you break through fear and doubt, you uncover a deeper truth. Everything you have ever wanted begins with belief. Not belief in luck, not belief in chance, but belief in yourself. Without it, every effort feels heavy, every setback feels permanent, and every goal feels impossible. With it, the impossible becomes possible because belief fuels persistence, and persistence builds results. Psychology shows that the human mind performs in alignment with its expectations. If you expect failure, you unconsciously act in ways that lead to failure. If you expect growth, you open your mind to opportunities, solutions, and strength you would have otherwise overlooked. Belief is not wishful thinking. It is the foundation of transformation. But belief is fragile when it relies only on external approval. If you wait for others to validate your worth, you will always be trapped. Some will doubt you, some will envy you, some will never understand you. If you depend on their support to move forward, you give away your power. True belief comes from within. It is built by honoring your commitments to yourself, by keeping the promises you make in silence when no one is watching. Each time you follow through on a decision to improve, your mind collects evidence that you can trust yourself. And that evidence becomes unshakable confidence that no criticism can take away. Belief also grows when you allow yourself to envision something greater. Many people limit themselves because they cannot imagine a life beyond their current situation. They confuse present circumstances with permanent reality. But your future is not written by where you are today. It is written by where you decide to aim. When you give yourself permission to dream bigger, you activate possibility. Your brain begins to work